Hey everybody, Randy Patterson here, and as you already know, we absolutely love the blues here, and I love talking to blues artists from the no one knows to the ones that everybody knows, and everybody knows Walter Trout. You know he's a frequent visitor here. In fact, the interview you're about to watch or listen to makes him tied for number one for the person I've interviewed the most. He is tied with none other than Steve Lukather, and they're both friends. So there you go. But we've talked not only to Walter, but his better half, and that's his wife, Marie. It's the first time I've got to interview her and him together or her at all. And man, we had a great time chatting. Great stories, great insight into their marriage and how they make it work, and her management of Walter's career. Phenomenal, phenomenal interview, if I do say so myself. So please give it a listen or watch it or both and share it with your friends. Friends who love rock and roll, friends who love the blues, friends who maybe they're spouses and they work together. This would be something good for them to listen to. And while you're at it, go ahead and pre-order this album, because the name of the album, of course, that's why we were talking to begin with, is the new album that you see behind me called Sign of the Times. And it is phenomenal. It's a different kind of Walter Trout album. I'll warn you about that. But it's bluesy rock, and it's probably more rock than you might be used to hearing from Walter. Walter's always been a blues guy, but this is blues and a lot of rock, and I think you're going to absolutely love it, because I know I do, because I'm a huge Walter Trout fan. While you're at it, would you please hit like on whatever platform you're watching or listening to this on, and would you hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber? I'm not charging anything for it, so please do. It just helps us out with the numbers and helps us monetize the work we're doing here. So without any further ado, here is my 7th interview with Walter Trout, and my first along with his wife, Marie. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care.
Hold on. Yo, Randy, can you hear us?
Look, I sure can. Look at that lovely couple there. My goodness.
How you doing?
Doing great. It's been about a year and a half. How have you been?
Still alive. Every day's good. It's a bonus.
That's right. Well, I think you're looking a lot better now since you brought someone along with you there. So.
Hey there, Randy. I love your background. That's really nice.
I thought you might like that. Great
love
album
it.
cover.
Is that a new wallpaper you got at Home Depot or something? What is that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I had to pay extra for it too, man. It was a premium print. So
You're some high-tech dude.
Yep.
yeah, I just hope that you didn't miss all the album covers all of a sudden, because they're here. So
Okay. Well, now when we can't find any albums, we know where they are.
yeah, just holler at me. I'll hook you up here. So
So now, is this going to be a video interview?
Yeah,
Or is it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you guys don't mind, that's
No,
what
I
I'm
don't
shooting
mind.
for.
I just wanted to make sure, and then we're all copacetic with the composition.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
artistic wife here. No, I need to see,
Oh, okay.
you know.
Well, then we're good.
Hey, we're ready to rock and roll here. Well, thank you both for joining me. Walter, you and I have been talking for a few years now, and been a big fan of yours ever since I saw you in Dallas at the Granada Theater there, and that's where I launched this. Back then it was just a website, and now it's a YouTube channel and podcast as well. And been a huge fan of yours and followed you. And you now, with this interview, you have the distinct honor of tying somebody you may know as the person I've interviewed the most. You are tied for number one, and that other person is Steve Lukather.
Oh, well, there you go.
So-
I know Luke
so-
very well. Crazy
Yeah.
guy, man. Great
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
One of
you
the
never.
best senses of humor of anybody.
Yeah, you never know what's going to plop out of his mouth. That is for
Yeah,
sure. So,
yeah.
but where are you guys clicking in from?
We are in Huntington Beach, California.
Oh, wow. It's been a long time since I've been there. Long time. But
And you're
I need
still
to.
in Dallas?
No, I'm in the Smoky Mountains now. You and I have had this conversation because you used to go through Maryville, which is where I was born.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah. So but for some reason, I always miss you when you come through or when you're nearby here. And I was looking at your itinerary. And it looks like you're going to be in Nashville. I think that's the closest you're going to get to me this time around at the,
Yeah.
what is it, the City Winery there or
City
something in
Winery. Yeah.
September.
If you're in
Yeah.
Maryville, the good thing would be if we played in Knoxville, but we haven't, I don't think I've ever played in Knoxville, you know.
Well, there's two great theaters there you could play. I mean, I don't know what size venues you shoot for, but the Bijou's around 700 or 800 seats, and the Tennessee Theater is 1,600 seats. So there's two good ones there.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, I would love to see you through here. And of course, the Blues Society is very active uh, here in the region. I don't belong to them anymore, but they're bringing people through all the time. So.
Well, you know something, after they hear this record, they might not want to book me ever again.
Why is that? I think it's outstanding. So,
It's not, it's not all that bluesy, you know. We're
uh,
rocking one here, I think.
well, I think that's to me, blues and rock often belong together in my
Sure,
opinion. So,
sure.
Marie, I am so glad you've joined this time. I've been dying to talk to you too, and I've got to ask you, I know I read your book when it came out. I know it. I would bet my life on it. I can't find my copy of it, so I'm beginning to wonder if I had a PDF copy of it. But do you still have hard copies that I can buy
I
from you
do.
and maybe get you to
I can
sign?
send you one. Don't worry about it. I'll be happy to send you one. Just give me your info. I still
Okay.
have hard copies
Okay.
of
Well,
it.
I would love to get one signed from you because I love the book and I collect. I love getting signed. You should see my signed book collection. I'd put it up against a lot of people. So I would love to add that to. I want to reread the book too because I haven't
Mm.
read it since it came out. But wonderful book, and I just that's why I wanted to get you two together this time because I know you always work together.
Mhm.
And Walter, you lean heavily on her from everything I've heard from you directly and what I've seen you put out
Yeah.
there in social media and such. And what I would like to talk about on this call is to, three different things, three key things. Obviously, the new album, but also I want to find out how you guys make it work because you work so much together and seem to be so gelled together, and that's not always a given. It's
Yeah.
not always guaranteed success with married couples, and so I'm single, so that might tell you something about me. I don't know, but but I would
Well,
love and
it's really interesting because we started out, with this project of being in love, and
Mhm.
and then we really wanted to have kids together. And I sort of, in order for that project to succeed, Walter was in a lot of bad business deals. I mean, he was in pretty deep with some contracts and some agreements that were not making him any money at all. In fact,
Mhm.
everything was being siphoned off, going elsewhere.
Stolen.
And I couldn't see creating a family life together. I, moved to America. I had a business in Denmark, but I couldn't really create a family life and without an income. I at that point I
Right.
still didn't have a green card yet. I mean, I was still sort of very, very new over here, but I could see that this could be done better. And so
Mhm.
as I got my green card and we got married and things started kind of working better, I took over the management of Walter's career. And it was really in order for us to have a family. You know,
Mhm.
in order for
Mhm.
us to have a family, we had to have an income. And if we didn't have, you know, that foundation, I couldn't see us succeeding. So that was really the foundation that started both our love life, our family life, and our business relationship. So that's how it all started. And that's 30.
5 years ago. I do
Well,
need to say one thing though. You'll see on this record that she and I were a songwriting team.
mhm.
Somebody asked me how long you've been doing that. Well, she came over here in 1990, and in
Wow.
1991 we wrote our first song together. So we've
Wow.
been at it for a while. That
So,
was
so,
fast moving traffic.
so,
That's right.
Yeah.
do you think this is going to work out?
I think
Where does it go at this point? No, of course it will. We're so, I mean, this is a beautiful thing to have a relationship go through all these epochs together and feeling like
Mhm.
I have a partner who really is willing to grow and who is really willing to stretch and learn new things. And I hope I provide the same kind of, you know, energy to it as well. So,
you certainly are willing to grow and, you know,
right. I mean,
it's,
it's fun. We're best
Yeah.
buddies, you know, as well as all these other labels you could put on us, you know.
let's think of some of these labels now. Campbell Soup.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just watched, I got to stream in advance the upcoming Billy Joel documentary that's going to be out on HBO. Their people contacted me and asked me, look, I'll write the review next week. But, part of his story was, his first wife managed him. And, they didn't last. And so, I mean, I can see where there's probably some uncommon pressures,
Oh,
some
yeah.
uncommon things that can come into play that, I've seen it in the non-celebrity field where people work together in a family business or something, and pretty soon you're just business partners, and the whole lover aspect of it kind of peters out, and so I mean, has that been a challenge for you? I mean, because from the outside looking in, it looks like you guys are still on your honeymoon. I think that's fantastic. How do you keep that going after all
Well,
these years, despite the business pressures and such?
well, you know, we're oftentimes Walter's on the road. I'm at home, so we're not together all the time. That
Hmm.
means we have to talk on the phone a lot about everything that's going on, but it also means that some of those daily irritants might not necessarily be right in our face every day, right?
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
So
Yes.
you get so you get a lot of honeymoons, is what you're telling me. So,
I think so.
It's that
well,
old, the old blues song. I haven't seen my wife in 3 or 4 years. I'm a happily married man. It's a real song, you know.
I,
That's a
I I
great.
need I needed to find that song before my divorce. So
Yeah, so that's a part of it. I mean, there's just so much there, you know, but I could talk for 2 hours about that. But I think that connection, you know, we started out actually meeting in Denmark, and then Walter had to go back to the States, and we were on the phone every day for a long time, and we got to know each other over the phone. So we have a real deep connection in our voices. So it's
Mhm.
not necessarily a bad thing. We talk so much and we talk about everything that's going on in our lives. And then, of course, about the business that also links us together. So
Mhm.
it's just that's worked for us. But it takes a lot of really, really intense communication at times. It is about not going to say, you know, oh, I won't talk about this, so I won't talk about that, or, you know, I'm just going to pretend that's not an issue. We go at each other sometimes.
Hold on. Keep talking. That little thing you heard, I have a package coming. It's been delivered. Let me go get it off my front porch.
Okay.
I'll be 1 minute. I'll be right back.
All righty. Well, and I can repeat this when he comes back, but I think communication, I think you nailed it. I think most relationships, whether they're in business together or not, fail because of, lack of communication, but also not being on the same page and not having each other's back. And it's apparent to me from the outside looking in that that whole not having each other's back is a big deal to me. And from what I see, from what it appears like to me from the outside looking in, is you both must have had each other's back. I mean, obviously you did, Marie, as a manager, but Walter, you had to have had her back too for backing her up on that. Because I imagine you ran in, Marie, into a lot of situations in a male-dominated industry to where there was a lack of respect.
My God, she was besieged with bullshit from guys and people not taking her seriously, and the good old boys club, and she worked really hard and she established herself as a potent force in there. And now she gets nothing but respect from them. But she had to work harder than if she was a guy,
Right.
Oh, and that's the way it is for women all the time, in any business.
There's a lot of what's it called? Like when you're looking at like habitual thinking around wives in the music business, women that are married to an artist and want to manage for whatever reason, and they have some sort of weird power trip, or these ideas that people have about what that is. And sometimes because people have those ideas, that's what they see. So I think there's a lot of preconceived notions going into it as a wife and a woman, right? But, like anything else, yeah, we have each other's back. We support each other. We hassle it out sometimes with each other too. And, that's why I'm talking about growth, because it's not always smooth,
No.
Sometimes I have one idea, Walter has another idea, and we gotta go through that communication process to figure out what is truly the best solution.
And the good thing about it working with her is we will each talk about our side, and little by little we will end up coming to an agreement on the best way to go about it. We'll have to make our stance known. She did an interview where, am I allowed to cuss on here? Is this FAA?
We're adults here, so.
Okay, well, she did an interview, and her best quote, I remember, and it's in a book. She said, I say to Walter, if you're talking to me as artist to manager, yeah, I get it. If you're talking to me as husband to wife, fuck you. And I thought that was the best. That explains it,
Well, so it sounds, I can put that maybe a little bit different way and see if this is also accurate. I heard this in a church circle once, and the guy said, the man is the head of the house, but the wife is the neck who turns the head. Is that kind of another way you would put that?
I don't think so, because whoever turns ahead, whoever's ahead, I mean, we are really a team, I think it's a matter of both of us working together on both roles, if you will. And also, as Walter said, separating what is what here, not getting my emotions hurt if Walter disagrees with me professionally, or if I have to convince him, I don't have to go into like, you don't love me.
Yeah, no, when it's, because she has managed my career. She has negotiated 28 record contracts, okay, just among other things. But all of it is discussed and all of it is worked on. And we're able to, I think, separate it. Sometimes we get into the business talks, and it is just a manager and an artist, and we're going over the various ramifications of something that a label wants to do, or that a promoter or a booking agent wants to do, or what she wants to do when she has a social media team she runs, things like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you find, I mean, I'm kind of curious on this. I speak in theory because, like I said, I'm a divorcee. I've been divorced for over 11 years now. But in theory, I would think that a couple would work very well if they recognize what the other person's strengths are and defer to those strengths instead of being on a power trip. And, especially as a man, a lot of us guys can get into a situation where we think we got to be the boss of it all.
That
You
ain't
know,
gonna work here, Randy.
that's what I was fishing for. It sounds like there's a good demarcation of
No,
responsibilities.
we're each, this is a pretty equal, thing we got going here. There ain't no boss, you know. We're both wearing the pants in this family, you
So,
know.
so Marie, when you took over the business, when you guys first got together, you said there was a lot of bad deals Walter was in and all that. What was and you don't have to mention names or anything if you don't want to. I'm not fishing for, trying to start a mud fight anywhere, but, you know, at a higher level, if you wish, what was the biggest thing you had to untangle or disconnect from, and what challenges did you run into in getting that all remedied?
Quite honestly, probably the fact that Walter really wanted the setup he had chosen, that he trusted, and here I come and tell him, it's possible to potentially make money doing what you're doing, particularly his career took off very quickly in Europe, and coming home from a 10-week tour with $1,500 in his pocket is not right.
Could I tell my side of this? I'm going to tell you about her in a way that she can't talk about herself.
Okay.
I was looking to go solo. I was playing with John Mayall, making a lot of
Right.
money, touring the world.
Mm-hmm.
And someone I used to work with, who I won't name names, but I can say had tour managed Canned Heat when I was in that band. And we had
Okay.
become really close friends. He decided he's going to be a manager. He left that band, and he and a friend of his, they're going to manage me, right? And they're going to do all these great things for me. So it's one of my good friends. So one of the things we do, because she's going, this guy does, I don't dig this. I mean, he's my good buddy, and
Yeah.
he's a Buddhist, and he's got all these ethics and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I make my second album in Copenhagen. It's a huge selling record. A week to 2 weeks after the record comes out, they tell me the album's already recouped. Everybody's going to make so much money on this album. So we go out to do a 10-week tour behind the number one album. I had number
Mm-hmm.
one album. I did it once, okay, in my career. 10 weeks. At the end of the tour, the manager says, I paid the commissions, I paid the plane fares, I paid the hotels, I paid the salaries of the band, I paid the tolls, I paid the everything, and you end up with $1,500 for a 10-week tour. $1,500. And he gives us a set of books. And she's like, what the fuck is this? I go, well, he's my friend. This is the music business. Blah, blah, this is how it is. So she gets, unbeknownst to me, she calls up our agent in London, says, I'd like to see your books. I come home one night and she has sat down with both sets of books, and I'm going to give them the number. Well, I don't normally give her this number. She finds a discrepancy between the two books of $70,000.
Whoa.
Yeah. And she shows me how he did it. And it's right there. So we call up this manager guy, say, hey, man, come on over. Let's talk about the future. We put up a hidden camera. She puts the books out, says, hey, what do you got to say about this? And he goes, yeah, I got your money. I work hard. I deserve your money. But I live in Mexico, so you're going to have to sue me down there. Tough shit. So she proved it to me. So much for my good buddy. And she has saved my life in so many ways. I'm going to lose it here. But that was probably her biggest thing she had to do. Convince me that my good buddy was a fucking crook, a slime bag, a snake. And she did it. She put it, it was in black and white right there in front of me, how he did it.
Wow. Wow.
70 grand, one tour.
That that could develop trust issues, couldn't it? I
And
mean,
just imagine this guy was so greedy. Instead of giving me $1,500, which really is a bit of a red flag after 10 weeks.
Just a bit.
Just a bit. If he'd
just a
given
tad.
me 30 grand and kept 40, right? Do something like that. And then it
Yeah.
would have been, oh yeah, this is, but no, but thank God he did that, because she was able to show me, or we'd have kept, I stuck with this asshole, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Gosh.
you know, stuff like that. But I think once I gained Walter's trust, it got easier, you know, but it was still, there's a lot of male, as you say, it's a man's world out there. It's, the music business is, if there's something that goes wrong and there's a woman involved, it's kind of easy to just kind of point the finger to what they perceive as the weakest link. And so you constantly have to prove yourself, you
Yeah.
know? And you know, I'm a tough broad, so I've proven myself, you know.
She
And,
has.
yeah.
And a lot of these big time kind of music business people have come up against her in negotiations and stuff, and they don't know who they're dealing with. I go, hey, good luck to this guy when he's dealing with her. But that story, even the end of that story, the record is making everybody all this money, and we're all going to get rich off this album that the record label's telling us. 6 weeks, 8 weeks later, I go to Copenhagen, where their label is located. I'm going to go to their office and walk in, the triumphant artist. They're gone. The office is closed. They disappear. They took all the money. I never made 10 cents, and I've never seen or heard
Oh.
from any of them since.
It was a rough start, man. And we
My
Walter
goodness.
signed a lot of deals, you know, through that original management, where they got a quick payout, but then
Yeah.
Walter was committed for a long time.
Yep.
So getting him out of these deals was also quite a task. So yeah, it was a rocky start, but again, I'm sometimes I talk to my kids about it and I try to describe this, because we have some sort of soul connection, Walter and I, that really made us tough it out, you know, and stay together. Leaving was never an option for me. I've heard somebody say murder maybe, but not leaving. You know? Close it does, but you know, no.
Oh, boy. This
Wow.
girl.
Well, Marie, you're in good company, because two women come to mind, actually three, who you're in good company with. I mean, look at Priscilla Presley after Elvis died. I mean, the estate was almost worthless. I mean, he should have been worth a lot more than he was. Quite frankly, he blew a lot of money, but she turned that thing around into the most successful, musician estate in the world. You have Jimi Hendrix's half sister, or kid's adoptive sister. Wonderful lady. I've interviewed her several times, and boy, she takes crap from people for turning that estate around. It was going down in flames, and she turned it around as, I think it's the second or third most successful musician estate around. And then, you know, somebody like Sharon Osbourne. I mean, she's tough, and look what she did for Ozzy. So you're right in there
Yeah.
in that hall of fame of women who saved the day. In my opinion, from what I've heard, what I've read, and from what I observed myself. And so my hat's off to you on that. I know it's not been easy for you, but
No, but we have a contract. I just believe we came into this world with some sort of a contract, believing, or our souls had a contract, right?
yeah,
So
Yeah.
you can't go up against that. So you got to make it work. And as I said, I could not foresee having a family. That was really something we wanted to do together, but I could not see having a family together with we were pawning guitars to pay the rent. And
Oh, yeah, we
it's like,
didn't have an automobile.
I can't live like this, right? As I said, I had my own business before I met Walter in Denmark, and no, this is not how we do things.
And that guy, say at the end of here you go, at the end of that tour, when he gives me the $1,500 and I'm sitting there, this is it. This is 10 weeks of work. I cleared $150 a week, and I'm playing to huge, huge crowds of people. And then I look at him, I go, well, how about the t-shirt sales? How'd that do? And he goes, oh, the t-shirt sales did really well. And I go, good. So I'll get some of that. He goes, no, management keeps t-shirt money. The management keeps that.
We had to take less commission,
Yeah.
so, because the expenses were so high. Of course, he had everybody in very nice hotels, tour bus, it was like deluxe touring, but,
But still, there was 70 grand missing,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
insane. Yeah, so water
Wow.
under the bridge. It's just, we toughed it out together. That's for sure. And Walter learned, I think, that, okay, my buddies might be male and look the right way for what I envision.
Talk
is
the
a-
right way.
Talk the right way. They're professionals, and but that's not necessarily everything there is to it. Common sense and a good sort of nose for bullshit is actually just as important, if not more.
I wrote a
Yeah.
song about the guy some years ago. It's on YouTube. It's called Willie. Look it up. It's pretty good.
I'll do that. Now that I know that story.
I was just
Wow.
need social security number and last name, and you're pretty much
Yeah.
Wow. Well, tell me about this album. It is I love it. You kind of hinted that people might not like it, but man,
No, I don't think they're not going to like it. When we did Sign of the Times in the studio, the keyboard player looked at me and said, well, you won't be winning any blues awards for this record. And I know that the blues purists are going to struggle to believe the last song. I wanted it to sound like Rage Against the Machine. I wasn't trying to sound like Muddy Waters. I was trying to sound like frickin' Alice in Chains here, and so, for an old guy, I think it's pretty rocking,
I love it. I love it. I read some of the info on the press release, but you tell me, both of you, because I know you both worked on this. Marie, you wrote some of the lyrics for some of this. You guys tell me how this all came about, how you got it from concept to shrink wrapped.
Well, the title track is an interesting story because we've gone and seen the Bob Dylan movie, and I was like, okay, let's see the real story. So we went and did the 6-hour documentary, whatever it was. And
we spent 2 days watching
I got
documentaries
into Bob Dylan's poetry, really, more than anything. And the way his voice was really relevant at that time. And watching the documentary, that phrase, sign of the times, popped into my head at some point. I was like, sign of the times. Yeah, he really channeled the times. What was the sign of the times? And I went in the back and I wrote the lyrics. They just pretty much came out the way they are. And I came in and I said to Walter, here's some lyrics I just wrote. And he goes, oh my gosh, let me just see if it fits, because I just wrote this song. I have this song that has a chant in it. And the last line of the first verse is something like voices of despair. And maybe this chant will work perfectly right after that. And he tried it and it was a perfect fit. So it's one of those where our minds collaborated, not knowing what we were really collaborating on.
And here's the weird thing. In that song, you can hear how heavy it is. And I wrote it as an acoustic song, believe it or not. It's on an acoustic guitar. But I had the chant, and in my mind, I wanted it to be the downtrodden, oppressed, struggling people of the world moaning and crying and calling out and needing people to see them. And, oh, right. And that's all I had. And so I had that chant, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. I have the lick, I got the chant, I think it's kind of cool. And she walked in and said, here, can you do something with this? And I didn't change one line in there. I didn't change one thing. She handed me that, and I'm like, here it is. That's it, you know?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and it just sort of became the hat that the other songs came out thematically
Yes.
under that sign of the times kind of thing, because we feel strongly about some of the things that are happening in the world, and I certainly know Walter does. And maybe say something about how this time feels, but not being bogged down by the polarization and the slamming each other over the head, but sort of find what is it that connects us people in feeling out of sorts maybe at this time, or insecure, or are we being lied to? And what about all this artificial intelligence and all of that sort of insecurity that's built into living today? Maybe wars, maybe not, we don't know. So that sort of just became the header. And then Walter had plenty of songs that he chose that fit.
Well, yeah, after she comes up with those lyrics, and we have that song now, and I go, here it is, it's done. Now let's do something to sort of take a look at the world. And let's not write partisan political songs, but let's write about what we see going on. I don't think anybody can argue with what we've written. No strings attached. You could say it's partisan. I mean, the first verse is like about a Ku Klux Klan guy, and the last verse is sort of about a Nazi. I don't know how anybody can argue when you say the cross is ripe for burning, you light that match, and you have no love in your heart, and there are no strings attached. You know, that's not partisan. That's
right.
If anybody wants to say they agree with the Ku Klux Klan, I don't want them as my fans. You know, they can go listen to somebody else. But so all these songs just happened very quickly after we had that song. We're okay, we have a focus now. And even something like the ballad Mona Lisa Smile, that literally took me about 5 minutes. It was handed to me by the universe. It was just there. Here it is. Boom. Look at that. That's sort of about when she gets overwhelmed, if she watches the news and gets overwhelmed and worried and sad. So that was even about how what's happening in the world can affect you, you know.
Yeah, it's for me watching the news about the flood in Texas, you know, because I literally cried when I mean, I was listening to the radio actually, and they were playing the recording. I guess it was from a phone, you know, somebody recorded it when the girls were on the bus and they were singing a spiritual song, and then they said the water stopped. it stopped rising and all that. But I just, my heart just broke about all those kids who have died. And,
Mhm. Sure.
I don't understand. Well, I do understand. Pulling back a little bit further where the division is. I mean, I don't know about you two, but I had to quit watching news
We do
because
too.
to me, do I have political opinion? Yeah, but my first step in all this is if they are a politician, they're automatically suspect, and I don't care which party they're in. They, I think if you put them under permanent transparency for the rest of their lives, you see a lot fewer people getting into politics and you see a lot more ethics in the business of it. And so
Sure.
until that happens, I'm not going to trust any of them at
And
all.
you know something? This lady here is from Denmark, and Denmark is consistently, year after year, gets named as the least politically corrupt country in the world. And one of the things they do is it's highly illegal for corporations to donate money to political candidates. That thing in this country with the money, it has, Citizens United has really, I mean, it was bad before, but that's destroyed any kind of trust you can have in a candidate because it's all about money now.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
but I'd like to skip politics now myself and talk about the music.
But I think
yeah,
that's exactly the point too, of trying to come up with an album that speaks to these times, but speaks in a different way than what we're used to. That
yeah,
is not a political talking point, that is not tied to that slamming each other over the head, but that is finding this is how this feels. And it might not feel the same way for other people. And maybe the way we intend some of the songs to come out, or Walter intends them, are received completely different. And that's fine too. But I think finding that place inside of us where we can find that we're not alone
yeah,
is
yeah,
really important. And that we're
yep,
not just with our tribe, but that there really is, I think, a large group of people that whether we are labeled in with them or not, we actually feel similar things. And that's
yes.
important.
Well, I watched the Chuck Berry documentary that his family, I think, was behind. And something struck me in a big way, very heavy way. And that was some video of one of his early concerts. And so we're talking the 50s, right? And there was white kids and black kids in this
Yeah.
auditorium together, having fun together, enjoying the music, dancing together in
Hmm.
those allegedly very heavily segregated times.
Hmm.
People forgot about what was going on outside that building. And I feel personally, first of all, music can be a unifier, and I would love to see a lot more of that happening. But yeah, to your point, Marie and Walter, I mean, there's nothing wrong with calling out some of the ills of society. How are we going to deal with them if we don't at least draw attention to it? But let's keep politics out of it. I think people need to take the power back, help somebody they see instead of depending on the government to do it. If you see somebody
Yeah.
hungry, buy them a meal.
Mhm.
If they're unemployed, somebody's hiring, help them get that job.
Well, I
Much more
definitely think
effective.
standing in a group together, experiencing something from a musician can be a very powerful experience too.
Hmm,
So that's
hmm,
important. I think the music takes that seriously. That's a
hmm.
responsibility that musicians can take on. Some musicians, maybe others can't, but the ones that can, I think that's a beautiful unifying principle of we all have like tears in our eyes when we hear about this thing, or yeah, that's something I can really relate to. But thankfully, it's not framed in, oh, I can't listen to this artist now because he is XYZ. And no,
Right,
I
right.
can't listen to that artist now because he is not part
You
of my
you know
tribe.
what music can do? I always think of this. I have an old song of mine called Collingswood, which is about my alcoholic, violent stepfather. And it's a heavy song. I'm moving the furniture against the bedroom door in the song because he's trying to get in to harm me. And in the last verse, there I go. In the last verse of the song, the spirit of my mother, I can't sleep at night because I'm haunted by this shit. And my mom's ghost comes and holds me. It's a heavy song,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm playing in a club in Wisconsin or somewhere 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And there's this big, mean looking biker guy. And he's sitting in the front row and he's really burly and like rough. And I do that song. I walk off the stage and he walks up to me and looks at me and falls into my arms and starts sobbing like a baby
Wow.
and says, "Thank you for that song. You wrote my life." And
That's
that's
the
what
kind of
music can
music.
do
Yeah.
right there, you
Yeah.
know?
The positive hits of it all. I mean, that's where, that's it. And how you put your life into those songs, Walter, I think I mean, it's a level of vulnerability, it's because you're exposing yourself in
Sure.
ways that, some people can't accept, but it's
Well,
powerful in how you do it.
it's one way of exposing yourself without going to prison because of it, you know. You
Well,
know?
I tried it once, but they let me go because there wasn't enough evidence, so
Yeah, right. They let me go for lack of evidence.
that's it. That's it. So, well, how long did it take you to make this album?
Well, we wrote it in, I would say, a little over 2 weeks once we got
Wow.
going. And
Hmm.
once we had that song, that was really, before that, I had ideas, like I had the music for that song and I had some other ideas. And um, once that kind of focused us in, okay, this is what we're going to do.
Hmm.
And she even said, we are called the record sign of the times. Let's make this the title. And it didn't take long to write it, probably 2 weeks, and everything came into focus. And then I
Hmm.
rehearsed it with the band for about 4 days, 5 days. And I like rehearsing with my band because I don't really give them direction. I hire them because I love the way they play. And we just play the songs and then hey, let's try it. Let's try it like this. Let's try it like that. And um, the songs sort of evolve how the arrangements evolve and who's going to play what. And
Hmm.
then we went into a studio and I self-produced this one. I've done 15 albums with the same producer, and it was time now, I think, to do something different.
Hmm.
Go out on a limb. Let's do it ourselves. And we hired a good engineer, a great engineer with his own studio that I had worked in before, and went in there with the band, and they were in there about 4 days. And then it was me, and once in a while the keyboard player might show up. And for example, on the song I Remember, if you listen to that song, there's a lot of beautiful piano. It's
Hmm.
really piano heavy, the arrangement. And I had actually recorded it with a whole bunch of acoustic guitars strumming. And Teddy, the keyboard player, came in one night. He lives 5 minutes from the studio. And it was time for us to go. And I said, Teddy, why don't you just go out and try a piano track? And he says, well, I don't hear it because of all the acoustics. And I went, just play something. And he went out and did that one take. And then when it was time to mix, the guy who did the mixing said, these acoustics are muddying this thing up. And the piano is so beautiful. And that's how that song came out. You don't hear an acoustic guitar, and I remember. And I did like 3 or 4 different tunings and capoed stuff, And
Hmm.
so just like that, the songs evolve.
But that's also an example of Walter so open, you know, he's in the moment very much when he plays live, obviously. You know, you never really know the certain outcome of a song. So he's sort of in it, right? Because he's inspired by that moment that he's in. But the same is also true for the recording process, I think. And there's a lot of evolution of the song in the process and feedback from various people that he's either open to or he's not, you know? I mean, there are times where you just go, I hear it like this and I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
But a lot of times there's just an openness to the process. Where does the song want to go? The song is its own creation, has a feel to it that Walter is able to sort of nurture into existence, is how I see it. And I find that so interesting.
And then little things like just that piano track on I Remember. When we hang up here, go on I Remember and listen to the piano. And he's like, well, you don't need it on here. I'll go play something if you want, but because we're ready to leave. It's like 11 o'clock at night. And he goes, and I just try something. Go ahead, just play something. We'll have it. We might not use it. And now it's big on that song, what he did.
Yeah, I remember that. What aside from you producing this, what else was different about this album compared to everything else you've ever worked on?
I think in some ways, because of the self-producing, after doing 15 albums with one guy, which is pretty much half my solo career, I had a sense of freedom on this that I haven't felt maybe ever. Like it was on me, but it was also very freeing. Do whatever I want. If I play a solo and somebody says they don't like it, but I like it, it's going to stay, you know?
Yeah. Were there any surprises in putting this together?
Well, I hadn't thought about that. Not really surprises. There were things like, I thought we were done. We're finished. And my dear wife had planned a big get together at our house with a huge two of our kids were here from Denmark, and they're going to make a big dinner, and all our friends are going to come over, and it's going to be this all day thing. And the guy who ran the studio was leaving to go on the road the next day. And I got up and I went, there's two things I have to do. And I have to drive an hour and a half through Los Angeles to do this. And I could just stay here, but no, I have to do it. And what it was, I changed 2 lines of lyric on the last verse of Mona Lisa Smile. So I ran in and sang, it's all right, let me see you smile. Those 2 lines I changed. And then on No Strings Attached, when the solo comes in, I went, ooh. You'll hear it in the background.
You can't even tell it's a voice.
You can't tell it's a voice, but I'm like, it's got to be there.
Cool.
So I drove an hour and a half up, 2 hours through LA, ran in, went, and it's all right, and then got back in the car. So it was almost 4 hours of driving for 3 vocals, but it had to be. Now I listen to, when that comes in on No Strings Attached, it really gives it this eerie, and I could hear it in my head that it needed it, you know?
It was worth the tank of gas to do that, right?
Yeah. So I did get back in time for dinner. That was nice.
Thankfully, I had good help. Our youngest son is a chef in Copenhagen, so I had the best help possible. So I wasn't sour.
Yeah.
Plus, I loved what you actually did. That was so good. And I was also the first to say, go, do it. It's important. Get it out of your head. Because I know in a project like this, if you don't do it, You will always hear what could have been, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I knew the guy was going on the road the next day, and I either had to do it the day of the dinner or it wasn't going to get done. And
Right.
so off I went, you know.
So, question for both of you. Normally, I mean, I've asked you this, Walter, on every album I've interviewed you about, but now I ask both of you this question, and you can have separate answers. Which song on the album would you point to as a calling card for the album? Marie, you go first.
Well, I would say Sign of the Times because it sort of was as I said, the header or the umbrella that everything came in under. And it's, of course, I'm partial to it because I wrote the lyrics too.
Right.
But to me, it really is sort of, yeah, calling card is a great word. So to me, that one kind of sets the tone and also tells people this is not necessarily a Walter Trout regular sounding album. We're stretching here. Walter's going somewhere a little bit different with this and is, stretching his sound, you know? And that was also a part of that freeing process of being self-produced, is to be able to experiment and see what happens here.
Yeah.
How about you,
And
Walter?
I would say exactly the same thing. And for one of my reasons about that song is the way we play the song. It's very free. If you listen to the bass on that song, it's remarkable. I didn't give those guys direction, and the bass player played all this amazing stuff. And I've done a lot of interviews now about this album, and a lot of them say to me, it sounds very experimental. It doesn't sound like a Walter Trout record. And that's what I wanted. I want to do something different. I want to grow. That was why I self-produced. I didn't want it to sound the same sonically, the same, just the generic Walter record. I wanted to shake some shit up here. And that song shakes some shit up, man. You know? So that's to me, yeah.
Well, if you have a few more minutes, I wanted to ask you about I call it the resilience videos that you're doing. I love those. I haven't watched them all yet. I've watched, I think, 3. And I'd love to hear the story about what's driven you to do that. Because I have to think that it's helping people with what you're doing on that.
Well, I was driven to do that because my management came up with that concept and will say to me, okay, it's time. We need to make a video today. Go wash your hair and shave. You know.
Well,
Look
okay,
respectable.
So the idea was really the word started popping up in press and different places, a resilient icon and stuff. And I was kind of happy that it wasn't legend because it's such a tired phrase. What is a legend? Is he even still alive when you're a legend? But a resilient icon, I think, really it captures something about Walter because he has been so resilient. He has overcome so many things, addiction, poverty, extreme poverty, struggles, enormous health crises, and
Homelessness.
just powered through with this focus on the music throughout all of it. That the music is the guiding light and also the savior of him because it allows him that catharsis, that expression, that connection to others. He's really connecting through the music. And so I thought, okay, we live in these times and they're difficult. A lot of people have issues, have really difficult things and challenges they're dealing with. How about you try and tell your story, not in order to sort of glorify anything about your story, but to give hope about what's possible and what it took sometimes to get into those places of finding that resilience and that hope and that willingness to just keep going and believe and be focused on something of value, of beauty, of good, you know, and wanting to be a person that could bring that onto other people's lives as well.
Mhm.
So I thought it was a worthwhile story to tell. And
I
so
agree.
that's really how it came about.
I think it's timely too. One of my two best friends is Dr. Roderick Logan, and he deals his area. First of all, he's got wisdom beyond his years. We were roommates in our first year of college, and he deals a lot with people that have had trauma, emotional trauma, and physical abuse trauma. And he also works with people that are, that are going to be foster parenting children coming out of those environments. And you know, in talking with him about his work, and I mean, he's been very helpful to me when I was going through my divorce and other issues. Like I said, the counseling that he gave and gives people is just comes from another world. But that resilience was a word he uses a lot. And I don't think it can be overused, because I think a lot of people in this world need to hear that and know how to accomplish it, how to bring it up out of their life. And that's the reason why I wanted to ask you about these videos, because I think it's timely. Have you already heard feedback from people that it's benefited?
Oh yeah, it's getting a lot of, my social media team tells me it's getting a lot of really positive feedback. I read some of it, and just am so moved at the comments and the feedback, and also the messages that people my team receives on it. So that's, part of the process of being a musician that is like Walter to me. Part of the gift of managing Walter is there's other layers to it than just the music. There's this inspiration of wanting to make the best of it, and the willingness to go for it no matter what it takes. I mean, what Walter has overcome is really incredible.
It
And I think
is.
that's important to keep in mind, because, and to tie a loop back to what you asked us about our marriage, I also think that resilience goes into everything we do. It's not like if we have a tiff or an argument that we just go, oh, sorry, can't use you anymore. You're no good for me, right?
Yeah.
We work through it. And I think
Mhm.
that's very much the thing, to not get stuck in things and not just throw people away, or throw situations away, but be willing to work through it, figure out how can I find help? That's a big part of it. How can I find help? How can I adjust my expectations? How can I do this so that we can keep moving through these issues so we don't let them stop us?
Yeah.
And sometimes when we do have a tiff, I'm always reminded of this quote. When our oldest son, John, was about 3, maybe 3, we were speaking about a couple we know, and he overheard us, and we said, yeah, they just had a tiff. And he said, what's a tiff? And we said, it's an argument. And he's 3 years old. And he looked at us and he said, life is a path to great knowledge. And sometimes along that path, you may have a tiff. And we went, huh?
Whoa.
That's
At 3?
true.
You gotta get through
Crap.
it.
Crap.
Life is a path to great. What is it, kid?
I'm
Anyway,
I'm almost 66 years old. I couldn't come up with something that good.
we were
Like, wow. Okay, well, there you go.
Wow.
So
Wow. So,
every time
well,
that we have a tiff, I think, life is a path to great knowledge, baby.
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. I'm wrapping up here, I promise you. But I think the last time you and I spoke, Walter, you and Ricky Bird are friends, right?
Oh, we're good friends. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would, because something you said just a minute ago triggered that memory. And man, what a great work he's doing through, AA and such, and supporting
He
those
is
people.
he
And
is doing great stuff with that. He has a great new album out. I don't know if
yes,
you've
he
heard his
does.
record,
Oh, I
Made in
already
New York
interviewed him
City.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a great dude, you
He
know.
is. His wife's a dear friend of mine, great publicist too, and she's a cheerleader of mine, which I don't get a lot of that in this business. So she's an amazing lazy lady in and of herself, and
Yeah.
it looks like they make a great team there too.
Yeah,
But
Ricky is something else. I played in New York at the legendary Iridium, and he came and sat in with us. We had a
how
good jam
fun!
session. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, this was a lot of fun, and I always enjoy talking with you, Walter. And now, Marie, you may be on the hook to participate in all the future interviews I do with Walter. So, you're always welcome to join us when we get these things set up. And if there's ever anything I can do to help in support of what you're doing, Walter and Marie, please let me know. I mean, I don't know much of what I can do from where I sit. And these days, since last time you and I spoke, Walter, my dad, we've discovered he has Alzheimer's, so I'm his caregiver.
Oh,
So,
man, I'm
so
sorry to hear
I'm
that.
well, but I get that time with him, and that's what's amazing.
Yeah,
It's been a big change in him, but it's like having him as a little kid. And
yeah, yeah.
I tell you this funny story very quickly. We go and eat at the same diner all the time here in Sevierville. And we went in there, and the women there just go over my dad. They call him Poppy. And we came out and got in the car, and I said, Dad, I believe you got a lot of girlfriends in there. And he goes, I do? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I think it's because I'm so good looking. And I started chuckling. I said, yeah, I think so too. I said, I wish I had your looks. He goes, yeah, yeah, I feel sorry for you.
Oh, good
That
one.
no, I'll tell that story till my dying day. But
That's great, man.
Oh,
That's
that's
but I'm
great.
wonderful.
ble-
You could see it like that and not have the expectation of him being something he is no longer, but just appreciating what he is. And
yeah,
and the core of him that pops out in these glimpses once in a while, whether it's humor or goodness. I gotta say, I saw that when Walter was really, really ill. And he had encephalopathy, which is where your brain is basically offline because you have so much ammonia going through your
yeah,
system in the blood that your brain can't function right. And some people I heard from the nursing staff would get very angry when they had that, or aggressive, or unpleasant, or depressed. And Walter was the sweetest soul. It was like I could see right into just, it felt like pure goodness. I mean, he could say a few words, and one of them was, thank you. And he just
mm,
kept saying that, right? And so
gratefulness. Yeah,
that gratefulness, that appreciation, I mean, to me, it was like, yeah, okay. So in this moment, this is where we are. And what a beautiful soul I have here.
When I had that going on, this is the story she always tells me. The doctor there, our great doctor, Dr. Dan, and her are trying to talk to me. And I have encephalopathy, right? And I'm trying to say that to them, and I go, I know I have Schenectady. And the doctor looks down and goes, Walter, Schenectady is a city in New York.
it's a New York state of mind. Is what it was. You were telling them.
I know I
So,
have Schenectady.
Oh,
oh,
yeah,
that's amazing. Wow.
yeah.
Well,
Oh boy.
thank you
Well,
so
thank
much
you.
for this. This was a lot of fun. Marie, I'll shoot you my email address through private messaging on Facebook, and then I'll give you my other contact information. Either if you guys ever need to contact me for anything, if I can help
So
in any way, I would love to be able to help and
All
support you
right. Well,
guys any way I can.
I'm sure you're going to send the link of the broadcast to the publicist, but
Yeah.
you can also, if you would, send it to me and I'll forward it on to our social media team and we'll make sure
Okay.
they get it. And then, so I can send you the book, send me the info
Okay.
as well.
Yeah, well, I'll do that through as a PM through Facebook, and we'll go from there. And I'll give you, like I said, I'll give you my other contact information as well in case you guys need to get with me on anything. So we'll do this again. Hopefully, it won't be a year down the road before we do it. But and if you get near me, I'm gonna come. I may try to make that Nashville show. I don't know if I can, because of what I'm doing here, but if I can, I want to, I've got 2 tickets I need to redeem at the City Winery. I was supposed to see Lisa Fisher there,
Okay.
and this was back in early 20, and then the pandemic came along, and I've never reactivated those tickets for anything else. So
Well,
I may
if
do
you
that for
want to
your
come
show.
see us, you don't need tickets. You'll always be on
Okay.
my guest list. So
Well, I
just keep
appreciate
that
that.
in mind.
We need to get you here in East Tennessee. I mean, even Knoxville or Chattanooga or something, so we can
Yeah.
get you playing here. So,
Yeah.
well, guys, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day, and hug each other from me, okay?
You know what we're going to do now? I have a plan. We're going to go over to Home Depot and try to get some of that wallpaper.
Hey, what I'll do, I'll be happy to do this. I'll send you the wallpaper so you can use it if you don't want to have, but show your personal background wherever you are, in a hotel room or whatever. You can
Oh,
use
that's
this for the
great.
future.
Sure.
I'll
That'd be
send it
awesome.
over to you. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Thanks, Randy.
all right. Y'all take
It's
care. Have a
always
good evening.
pleasure. Always a pleasure talking to you, Randy.
Well, likewise. I always look forward to talking to you. Y'all take
Okay,
care.
take care, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye. This has been another fun-filled episode of Boomerocity with your host and producer, Randy Patterson. The theme song is Roll the Dice and is recorded and used by permission from Quentin Hope. Quentin is spelled Quinten, and Hope is Hope. And you can find out more about Quentin at quentinhope.com. Post-production is done by Cardinal Sins Productions. The Boomerocity name, logo, and content is copyright protected. Segments may only be used with written permission by Boomerocity and/or its assignees. Inquiries should be directed to input@boomerocity.com. Copyright 2025.